Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by OrthoCarolina. Now offering video visits, so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. OrthoCarolina, you improve.
Hey, fellows. It's the first snap of another season.
Nerds roll. Nerds roll.
Oh, my glasses are broken.
Surprise me.
My pocket is protected.
Surprise me.
I'm a super nerd.
Surprise me.
Hey.
Excelsior.
I am a super nerd.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Starring Andy.
I am a former entertainment journalist.
The Star Spangled Band with a plan.
TBJ.
Welcome, congratulations. You did dirt. Ta-da! I got no shame. I am what I like to call a surprise nerd.
Art Star.
I am not an incel.
Dark Star.
He's the nerd Gotham City deserves.
And yours truly, call me Joe.
Joe Verse.
Who's banging on the phone and then jumped over here was like, hey, still in that low voice.
That's not even my MO. I would never change my voice because then that person would always want me to talk like that. That would get, tired.
No, that's that phone though. Everyone has a phone voice. Like during the day, you're like blah 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 blah, and at night you're like, hey, how you doing?
My voice changes no matter. Like you guys can when I get excited, my voice gets a little higher. So that's why.
This is who he is. Smooth Jazz Radio 101 with Art.
I'm not Curtis Davenport though. So.
Nobody's Curtis Davenport.
Yeah.
I didn't know that boothanging was a verb.
I don't really know if it's an official verb, but it's a verb for me.
Yeah, that's okay. You can say whatever.
I didn't know kikiing was a verb either.
Yeah.
Kikiing is a verb. That is not me. That's the culture. When you're kikiing. You're having a little
with
kiki.
Kiki Palmer?
No, not Kiki Palmer. Sometimes you're kicking back and having a little kiki, or you're just kikiing with your homie, or with your friends, or with your girl.
Okay, so it's not a kikiing with some girl. It doesn't. Okay.
No, we could be kikiing with anybody.
All right. Good to know.
As Andy adds to words.
Special.
He'll be like,
mode.
man, I was kikiing with them last night on the podcast. Kikiing.
Right?
Are we kikiing right now?
We are. We're kikiing right now.
Uh-oh. I didn't know that I've kikied before, but apparently I've kikied.
I got to figure out how to spell it if you're going to put it in the
I'm kikiing all over myself right now.
Oh, Lord. Leave it to Joe to take it there.
How do you spell it? Is it K-E-K-E or K-E-E?
I don't know the official Urban Dictionary spelling. Sometimes when you throw the slang, there's no spelling sheet that comes with it.
I only know how to spell it.
Scholars to figure out later.
It's as long as you understand what the other person is trying to say. Like, I get it.
Right?
Yeah, I guess in context you can guess.
Do you guys understand the biggest thing to this last couple of days is the assignment? Are you guys paying attention to that? People who paid attention to the assignment. And it's been going around with a lot of actors. It's like Will Smith knew the assignment. Chadwick Boseman knew the assignment.
Knew they did a good job.
Yeah, they came to do the job and they did the damn thing repeatedly.
Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
We'll hear from him again in
he's not
What If.
Yeah,
he's going to be in the What If animated series. It's going to be like, what if, I guess, Black Panther became, I think, Tony Stark.
Really?
I believe it was Tony Stark.
So he had already recorded his voice for that?
Yeah.
Okay. He had a few projects already in the can before the end.
It's still not real to me that he passed away. You know what I mean? I feel like nothing's real until this pandemic's over.
Well, we've gotten to also see him in movies since, with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. What is that? 21 Bridges. All these things came out after, so it's still to us and then he just won an award for it. So our brains are still we're still seeing him show up on our screens in some way. Yeah. So that's also hard to grasp because he's still showing up for us.
So he was, gosh, when did he pass away? When was it? Was it in the? It was in the pandemic, right, or before it?
Yeah,
started?
it was during the pandemic. So
But
at some point,
it wasn't
last
COVID,
year, I don't remember
though,
when.
right? It wasn't COVID, though.
No,
right?
he had cancer.
Cancer. That's right. Yeah.
He'd been battling cancer through most of those last few movies.
I think it's so much harder to believe for somebody who's portrayed as so tough. Like he's such a badass as Black Panther. You can't fathom that anything would like he would die of cancer. Like he's not
right
frail or old or So it's like what? Not that everybody that dies of cancer is frail and old, but it's just like it's so much harder when somebody's a hero.
But he had gotten frail and old. I remember he did a TV spot for a charity where he had gotten really frail. And, the internet is cruel.
Yeah.
So instead of having empathy, everyone just kept coming up with speculations that were kind of cruel and mean to him. And it was something he cared about. So he's making a statement because it's something he cared about.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, admitted on the end they felt horrible. And I was like, and this is why we don't talk shit. We don't know what's happening to people sometimes. Unless it's Tom Cruise. Feel free to talk all this shit about Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Everybody's
no
going
regards.
Through,
no
everybody's
regards.
going through shit you don't know about. Yeah, generally. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Now that you mentioned, now I remember all that. Well.
Yeah.
You know what? I just thought of what might be a good role for Tom Cruise if he will ever to be in the MCU.
WCW.
Is, Hyperion of the Squadron Supreme, which is basically an alternate reality story where Marvel created basically their alternate reality versions of the Justice League and put them in a world where they decided they were so powerful they decided to just take over for the good of everybody. And it was a big story about why that was not a good idea. But Hyperion is basically the Superman of that. So I can see him being that kind of guy.
So is that like a Bizarro? Not Bizarro world, but kind of like a Bizarro world because it's Marvel?
I mean, yeah, there's they're all pretty much one-to-one allegories of. And they
did they get sued for that? Are they allowed to do that?
No, I mean there's so much. The same creators created so much of DC and Marvel. There's so much.
I guess there would be
feeding into each other. Thanos and Darkseid are so incredibly similar. There's a.
And we've already talked about the Slade and the Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
And then they didn't use the names. They created different things, but he had a big yellow cape and a big yellow belts kind of thing.
Wait, Slade.
But you could kind of tell what they were doing.
Slade and Wade Wilson is the one you talked about where when they created Deadpool, he was just like Darkseid. Deathstroke. And Slade is Deathstroke and Wade Wilson is Deadpool?
Correct.
Boom! I learned something. I paid attention to you guys.
Yep. And we won't hold it against you that you fudge the basic part of it is knowing Deathstroke's name.
Yeah, fuck you. What are you gonna do? Paddle me? What kind of nerd school is this? Is it like an elementary school or is it like a college? Is it like a community college?
You're pretty much junior high mentality. So
hey!
I'm back. What did you just dish Joe for?
He just asked what level of school we're at. Are we in high school or elementary school? And I figured he was pretty much a junior high mentality. So
yeah,
we'll go with that.
But I thought it was more like community college because I can tell Andy to fuck off and there's no consequences.
I feel like there are some middle schoolers still rolling around like that.
Yeah.
They're still out there.
Mm-hmm. Joe and Andy in the morning.
Troy and Abed in the morning.
Oh, I could go get my Troy and Abed in the morning mug, but I'm using my mug right now.
I was saying, why would you have a Troy and Abed in the morning mug?
I do.
And why wouldn't you be using that all the time?
Because this is nerd school and I'm using MODOK mug right now.
He's got to have variety.
And this is a bigger mug. You can fit more water in it.
When is that show ever coming out? Isn't that supposed to be out soon?
I think it's sometime this year.
What show?
There's an animated adult comedy MODOK cartoon series coming out with Patton Oswalt as MODOK.
Wow.
Joe, I like how you ask, but then when he starts to answer, you're like, oh, that's a lot of info.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
it's just too much to comprehend.
Well,
but you asked the question.
I know a lot
of times. Just give me the cliff notes, Andy. Just give me the cliff notes.
There's a lot of times.
We're gonna get Joe used to not asking questions if he's not prepared to hear the answer.
There's a lot of times I regret asking the question almost at the end of the question. I'm already regretting the answer just when I see his face. Like, and then I usually ask it because I want it to be a certain answer, and then I see Andy's face preparing for a long diatribe. I'm like, oh, it's not going to be the answer I want. It's going to be something stupid that's going to take 20 minutes.
It's not going to be stupid. It's not going to be the answer you want because you're still learning. So it's not going to be a quick and easy answer, Joe.
Well, I thought you were talking about Community, so I thought there was going to be a Community cartoon. And when you said MODOK, I was like, oh.
That would be great if there was.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Because I got fooled.
Didn't they have like an animated episode?
They did.
Yeah.
And it was all based about G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. But a few months ago, Art, I got duped by somebody spliced together a fake trailer for the Community movie, and they used like clips from Community, and then they used clips from everybody else's solo projects, and made it sound like, oh, finally 7 seasons in a movie. Here's the movie, and I was like, oh my God, they're doing it. It's really it. And then it didn't dawn on me that the story was stupid and it didn't make any sense.
You were just so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate those. It's like it's one of the things. Like I wish if I'm seeing something like that, it automatically lets me know that it's fan made. Like recently, I watched like a couple of trailers. I'm like, wait, this looks. Then you see a clip from something you've already seen. Yeah. I'm like, I watched 2.5 minutes of this, and it's like it's not even a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't even say it had like let's say if it was Warner Brothers or whatever, it literally would have like the copyright in a movie house, and I'm thinking this is the thing, but it's something fan made
from the official site or the official accounts. I'm like, all right, this is horseshit.
Yeah. If I see something I like and it's not, I go to the official account immediately and go, is it for real? But I do feel like there should be some kind of banner that says fan made, just like when like Instagrammers, do ads, they now put hashtag ad or paid partnership.
Yeah,
it was a thing required after so many influencers basically were selling things without saying it was an ad. So I think there needs to be some kind of program that comes about where they have to say fan made.
I think a lot of people do that just to avoid any copyright claims on their videos and stuff too, like to do that. But I mean, some of the fan made trailers are pretty clever. Good. I mean, I remember seeing. I was for a while. This was when Lord of the Rings was big. Someone took the Fellowship of the Rings, the sound from that trailer, and cut images from the animated Transformers movie from the 80s to sort of fit the dialogue, and that just blew my little nerd mind because I was a huge Transformers guy when I was a kid. Yeah. So like sometimes it's clever, but other times it's just trying to fake you out and get clicks or something or misrepresent.
Clickbait.
Clickbait. Yeah.
Some of it is that they were just trying to be creative, which I can admire as a creative. Like, there's a whole genre of writing that's fan fiction, which is fine. Some of it's really funny to me, but it's labeled fan fiction. If I see a trailer and you label it, I can still enjoy your artistic endeavors and still chuckle and laugh and smile or go, oh my God, even if I know it's fan made.
Like, this is awesome. I don't want to say it's... Maybe it is. It's not fan made, but it's a Gambit movie that has somebody. I want to say. I don't think it was Michael Douglas, but it's someone pretty
Michael
big.
Douglas in Gambit.
Yeah, it's like the scene. Like one of the bad guy is some famous old guy. I can't remember the name of it right now, but like it was a pretty good. Little short movie. Like, and it wasn't made by Marvel or whatever, but like it had, Gambit going up, what's the name? Save Rogue. It was awesome to actually see, Gambit on a little quick movie type thing.
Gambit. A little short.
Yeah. There's stuff like that too, and Gambit's got his fans.
I don't know why you don't like Gambit, Andy.
He is a friend of mine.
Why don't you like Remy LeBeau?
He's like a hodgepodge of things that seem like they should be cool, like focus group cool, but they don't really like. He stole the card throwing trick from Bullseye. He's got that stupid fucking not a mask thing that was in every comic throughout the 90s, and I hate to blame him for it.
But see,
that makes his head like this little tuft of broccoli. He's got his little pink armor, and throw a trench coat on that makes it cool. No, it doesn't. He's just
Constantine. Constantine in his trench coats and cigarette looks cool, right? To some people, but like I think Gambit's his playing cards, to me, it's one of those things like how a certain person had something that they do, like Harvey Dent flipping his coin, making decisions or whatever. He can flip anything, but like there's something about this coin that it's iconic to him. Like Gambit, he's all about gambling or whatever. So he has these cards. Like for some reason he mostly just uses the cards, but like they could have made him use pretty much anything. His power set is the same thing. It's just the way that he delivers them is like using the cards. It's like Bullseye. Yeah, Bullseye using the cards. Like he could like it's just certain things that certain characters use.
Yeah, and some people are like
just a prop. But like Gambit's prop is a deck of cards, like because he likes to gamble,
and he thinks it's cool. There's the guy who thinks he's cool and tries really hard to be cool.
It's rarely cool.
That's what Gambit feels like to me. Just like
you say,
look how sweet I am. I am so cool. Here is my kick-ass. I'm throwing playing cards at you. Isn't that so stylish? Oh.
I just want to appreciate that the back and forthness right now between Andy and Art is making me happy because normally I'm fighting Art. I like hearing this.
If anything, me and Andy are debating on whether or not Gambit is a cool
it's not
character.
a debate when I do it, but it's a debate when Andy does it.
You see, Andy comes back, I come back. You pretty much condemn me to hell whatever we do it. So
because what you say is worthy of such condemnation. Andy's just really nice.
Can I say I was watching Revenge of the Sith last night?
Can I say?
I was watching Revenge of the Sith last night.
I saw.
And the whole time I was so excited. And I was like, if Tiff could see me now.
No, I almost commented on your post that I'm shaking my head. Right. Like I almost liked it because, like, yeah, you're watching Star Wars. Sounds like because it's Revenge of the Sith, and he's gonna read into that. So then I almost was like, I'm shaking my head at you, but I was like, you know what? Let him watch this little movie. Let him watch
every
this
time
movie.
I watch this movie, I feel like Anakin was so misunderstood. Like
he slaughtered a room full of children. End of story. There is no misunderstanding that.
Thank you, Andy.
Recently, I just seen something, and I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to watch it again. I think like his kids haven't watched that movie just because of like that scene.
But that's the thing. You keep wanting to like again. We talked about this in the last Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's one thing to be like out for vengeance, but like when you start slaughtering extra peeps,
he for some reason he had in his head he was doing this for Padme. He was going to save her life.
Yeah,
so he was doing whatever he could.
And would I mean, obviously he was being influenced and whatever, but
he's
also
been manipulated. But
he's been manipulated. He's succumbing to the dark side of the Force.
Yep.
See, the dark side murders kids. See, that's why we take issue when you call yourself a Sith Lord.
Yep.
But that's like part of the reason that turned out all of Star Wars, that whole thing, that whole just by the way, here's some child slaughter, and in your fun science fiction story, here's some kids getting murdered.
Well, not even in Star Wars. Like nowadays, in newer movies, like they're all like the casualties of war. Like they don't sit there and say, hey, let's. They may not show it. I guess with this, it was more or less the whole like he walks in and he's going to kill the kids.
Even if they didn't show it,
plenty of movies where kids get killed. Like it's.
Art.
Are you trying to claim he didn't? And someone sent Obi-Wan Kenobi the fake security footage of him murdering all the kids, even though the only scene we got was him.
Why would I say that? I'm not saying that, Andy. That sounds like a clever plot. Like, it's almost as if that's what you believe.
No, Andy's not on the dark side. Don't even.
He doesn't have to be. No. He doesn't have to be on the dark side to believe it.
No.
Right. It's I understand.
Andy could be a mercenary.
I understand that it was a plot point to explain why there aren't any more Jedi except Luke Skywalker,
right?
And it had to be like a thing so bad that Anakin felt he could never come back from it.
Yeah,
so he just leaned into the dark side.
But it's still a lot on the dark side. Sorry, Joe. I know Joe is like, what the hell?
Listen to this though,
because this is supposed to be about the Avengers, and we on a Star Wars tangent.
Yeah, well,
Joe doesn't like Star Wars.
No, I do.
We're not talking about Star Wars today.
I want to talk about Greedo. No, actually, I'll back up a little bit back to Gambit because I have a concern now. I also think Gambit sucks, but Andy, I have a concern now because in the upcoming Heroes debate that will be streamed live on April 15th, one of the contestants has chosen Gambit as his hero to argue the merits of. So
it better be a good goddamn argument.
So do I have to report ahead of time that one of the judges might be biased against Gambit?
No. Because, I play it up a little. This is why I didn't like Gambit for a long time. I mean, lately, he's eased up on the shtick, his whole shtick that I didn't like, and he's become less of that. So, and I've had some friends who like him, and I'm like, all right, fine. My nerd hate used to be a lot stronger than it is, and sometimes I play it up for comedy value, but it's.
We can say that you won't hold people's choices against them personally.
Well,
we will be judging their debate style.
Well, and Gambit is going up against Daredevil, so I don't know if you're a big Daredevil fan, but it's Gambit versus Daredevil.
That should be interesting.
I think the nerds are the ones who pick those two, not the poets or.
All right, so it's a guy with a big staff versus a guy with two little staffs.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah. So, PJ Barnes is the one who chose Gambit, and the poets are gonna have. We've got.
Should we be knowing this now?
Is this tipping the scales? Are we supposed to learn this?
I know. Don't give us all the 411.
All right. I was just going to tell you who's going against who, but I won't tell you if you don't want to know.
I mean, I guess we don't know the questions, but it's still.
You don't know what they're going to say, but and then I know for the poets, it's Luke Cage going up against Rogue as far as debates. Ooh. And then we got the comedians. It's Black Panther versus The Flash.
Oh, now is this who would win in a fight, or who's a better character?
No. It's the subjects are randomly picked, so it might be who's better at golf.
Oh, okay.
Who'd be better raising children, or who'd be better?
Okay.
Who'd be a better barber? You know, you have no idea what it's going to be. So,
all right. You know what? I was just about to say. I think Gambit would be a better barber than Daredevil because Daredevil can't see. But given Gambit's hairdos, that's kind of a wash.
Well, you can't tell the people now. You got to give them something to tune in for, Andy.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm
pretty sure they're not going to draw that.
That's just a preview of what this will be.
If they draw it, we'll have to recuse ourselves from that question.
Of course, by the time this airs, I'm just realizing this, it'll be long over. But you can stream what we did in the future now, but in the past,
available.
Once you hear this, it'll be available on Vimeo. Nerdy Night In. Check it out.
I'll keep it. I'll put it on our Instagram. I'll make a link tree, so you can always go back.
But now, so we've gone forward to Star Wars. We've backed up to Gambit. Now let's back all the way back up and do what we're supposed to be doing here.
What we're here for, our original purpose.
I'll just say, if you want to talk about Greedo, that's a whole podcast.
the Greedo podcast?
Because there's a giant nerd debate about Greedo and whether or not he shot first.
Yeah. Well, and then you got Greedo's children, or those little Greedos from the prequels.
Those would be his ancestors, probably.
Well, I think one
cousins,
of them is...
Or not related at all, because there's probably a whole planet full of those dudes.
I think one of them is Greedo.
Rhodians.
Joe, you completely froze.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I think one of them is Greedo, actually. Like working on Annie's thing, his pod.
Could be.
Anyway, so let's get...
Yeah, I mean, how many Rhodians hang around Tatooine, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess a lot.
All right, so the Avengers.
Let's jump into what we're here for. The Avengers.
So, Andy, are you prepared to do a whole like background thing like you've been doing with the movies? You probably don't have to do as much because we've already introduced Iron Man and Captain America.
Right. I will.
And the Hulk. We talked about
that. And the Hulk.
Yeah.
And Thor.
Yep, we did all
and
Loki.
Thor. Shit, I don't know why I forgot Thor. And
so we've done most of this. I mean, I will. The couple of other things to note is Marina Hill, played by Kobe Smulders, was a Marvel character from 2005. So she was a relatively recent addition. At the time when this was made. Yeah.
What's the actress's name? Kobe
Smulders.
She's on How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Really? Colby
Smulders? Yeah, that's her.
Kobe Smulders.
Kobe Smulders. Okay. Oh, well, that just answered. I had a bunch of questions about her in my notes, but I was like, I knew her from somewhere.
Probably
How she was just in another comic book show that got canceled recently.
Wasn't she on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too?
Yeah, I think she popped up once or twice in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she was the one I wanted to ask. So she wasn't. Her character wasn't introduced in the comics till 2005. You're saying?
Right. And Coulson was not introduced in the comics until after the movies.
Oh, he's not in the comics, huh? Or he wasn't?
No, he was created he was like S.H.I.E.L.D. existed, but Phil Coulson was not existed. And interestingly,
he got Darbied in. Darbied in.
And he was introduced in a storyline after the MCU started. This was 2011.
What?
That they were introduced in a story that also decided they needed to introduce there was a miniseries called Battle Scars that basically explained that Nick Fury, the Marvel version, the old David Hasselhoff cigar chomping World War II vet, with the Infinity Formula that keeps him alive, which is not the Super Soldier Serum. That's a different thing. They decided he had a son that was a secret son with a black SHIELD agent named Nia Jones, and he turned out. So now there's a Nick Fury Jr. in the Marvel comics who looks like Sam Jackson, as opposed to. And then they kind of brought him in to have a Nick Fury that looks like the Nick Fury from the movies, and they kind of phased out the old version and had him going on some cosmic spy shit.
Because they've realized that Sam Jackson Nick Fury is the kick-ass Nick Fury.
Yeah.
He wasn't going nowhere.
I will say in the comics, old school Nick Fury was certainly a guy who kicked ass. He ran.
But he was also in the
Soldier.
In the Ultimate Universe?
What's that?
The Ultimate Universe?
Yeah. The Ultimate Universe came before this.
Right.
Before this was like in the early 2000s, late 90s, something like that, where they introduced an alternate version, basically trying to make the Marvel universe more, I guess, adaptation friendly, movie friendly, TV friendly, or whatever they were going to do. Like trying to say, all right, let's take the concepts of the Marvel universe that we've been doing since the 60s, since the 40s with Captain America, and reboot it all. And without all the continuity baggage that makes people walk in and go, I don't know where to start with these things. And that was the Ultimate Universe. And it started out really good with like a really slow build with Ultimate Spider-Man. That was the first one. And then it kind of went off the rails quickly when they introduced Ultimate X-Men. Like Ultimate Spider-Man was like, there's no superpowers. Here's Spider-Man. Like a slow build to his hero arc. And then Ultimate X-Men, the first page is a bunch of people fighting the giant mutant hunting sentinels. So it's like, you have to build to giant death robots.
Right?
You can't just
throw them in there on page 2. But boom!
Yeah. Like how in this book, which is all we know of the Ultimate Universe so far, there's nothing like this. This guy with superpowers is a huge deal, and now suddenly there's a giant mutant fight in New York with huge purple death robots. It was a little like so it was a little hit and miss, but a lot of concepts from that eventually made their way into the MCU.
So,
which includes Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury,
right?
Which he will forever be.
Did you pay attention at all, Joe, or you just zoned out? Like, where they going with this?
I actually only heard about a third of what Andy said because my internet was freezing up. So, I'll have to listen later, I guess.
Turn your camera off so you can try and reserve a little bit.
See if that helps. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I'll do that.
For me, it does on my computer.
It's supposed to.
Keeps me on.
So I wanted to ask Andy. I remember when. So with I might not remember this correctly, but with Hero Clicks that you made me play a while ago, I feel like there were some SHIELD agents that had names. Like there was mostly just SHIELD agent, but there was a couple, like a blonde lady, and like maybe a couple guys that had names.
There was a Clay Quartermain who has not been introduced in the MCU as far as I know. There was a Gabriel Jones who was one of the Howling Commandos of Captain America in the Captain America movie. Derek Luke, I believe, or Derek Lucas? Derek Luke.
Derek Luke.
All right. And so that was that guy. I don't think there's a figure of him, but Jasper Sitwell has already been introduced, I believe, as well. He was in Thor.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I know, none of the... I mean, the only SHIELD agents we really get names for in this movie are Nick Fury and Marina Hill and Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye and Black Widow.
And we get Coulson's first name. I don't think the other movies, anybody... I love the bit where Pepper is like, hey, Phil. Hi, Phil. Yeah. And he's like, when did he become Phil? She's like, how you doing, Phil?
His name is Agent. His first name is Agent, not Phil.
Right. Yes. But I love it because he's always Agent.
And that makes sense because he saved her ass in Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Like, his showing up right when he did helped her stay alive when Jeff Bridges was trying to kill her.
Yeah. But I love that little bit. That back and forth made me laugh a little bit because it's true. It's like, wait a minute, his first name's Agent. No.
Yeah, that reminds me of my a question I did have before you launched in that whole big diatribe earlier about the Ultimates. Is when you said Coulson was drawn into the comics after the movies, did they draw him to look like that actor?
Oddly enough, they didn't.
Oh.
They gave him like a full head of like dirty blonde hair. Really? They gave him a nickname like Nick. Like he was friends with Nick Fury Jr. in the war when he didn't even know his name was Nick Fury Jr. His name was Marcus Johnson, and they were fighting in Afghanistan together. His nickname was Cheese for some reason. And so, but yeah, so he's been in the. I mean, I guess it depends on the artist. I mean, sometimes an artist can try to make him look more like Clark Gregg than another artist will, because that's part of. Why artists get credited with creating things is because they make such a difference in how things are presented. And too many people credit only the writers when it's usually pretty collaborative.
Now, you mentioned Clark Gregg as if that's just a common, like... Was he known before the MCU?
He was in, I think, a few television shows here and there. I know he was in... The New Adventures of Old Christine with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yep.
Tiffany, who's more attractive, Clark Gregg or Don Cheadle?
It's gonna be Don Cheadle. At this point, I don't even know why you asked that question.
Clark Gregg or Chris Hemsworth?
Again, I think I've made myself pretty clear on this. It's gonna be a Hemsworth always.
Okay, a Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Don Cheadle. Amalgamation of all those three, or Clark Gregg?
I was going to take the amalgamation on this one. While I adore him as his character, and I love when I see him on screen, and I got certain feelings. if I'm going out on a date, I'm gonna go with the amalgamation.
Well, just hope it's not like a Frankenstein style amalgamation. It's got like a...
No, we're advanced in 2021. Somebody can stitch that together better. We've come a long way in science. We can do this. We can do it right.
Okay.
Toss little Anthony Mackie in there for me.
Oh, Anthony Mackie, yeah. He's quickly. I feel like he's gonna rise up in the acting world, in the film world after Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like,
I will remind you, he's also one of those people who's been doing things for a long time, but isn't actually known. So,
he's gonna be. I think after
he's gonna be known more.
Yeah, he's gonna be like. I think he's gonna be like.
To the mainstream audience, that's what I'll say.
Like I think
mainstream.
Chadwick Boseman is big. I think he'll be as big as him. Don't you think?
I don't know. Chadwick is a beast because Chadwick played everybody legendary. I think he has a special place from 42.
Brown, Jackie Robinson, and Black Panther.
All of those.
True. Yeah.
So like he was mainstream before Black Panther because he had already played so many legends.
That's right. Yeah.
He grew his legendness by playing legends. But I think Anthony Mackie will be known. But it also can do one or two things for you. It can make you more known, or it can put you in a box.
Yeah,
so
he'll be just a Falcon type. But I don't think he doesn't seem very quirky or anything. He seems like a leading man.
Yeah.
Like I can see him being in all kinds of romantic action, romantic things in action movies.
But he wasn't in this movie.
Is being put in a box a bad
we're on
thing?
a tangent. He was not in this movie.
He's not in this movie. Yeah. What did you say, Art?
I was saying, is being put in a box a bad thing? It's not always a bad thing.
Depends on the
It's not
box.
a bad thing, but I think about it from an actor's perspective. Like a lot of actors get a lot of energy off of switching and changing. Like someone asked Denzel once upon a time why he didn't play certain roles, and he says because no one's offering them to him. I think being in the craft in the beginning or before you get a little older, part of building your kit and building your skill set is being able to do different things. So, you got Robin Williams, and then you got Robin Williams in 1 hour photo. Two different Robin Williams.
Yep.
But that shows you his range. So I think the goal for a lot of actors is to have range. And so while a box may get you monies, like Sam Jackson has done his thing for years, okay?
Yeah.
So Sam Jackson wants to stay Nick Fury for the rest of his life from this point on. He can. He's done a lot of things. But if it's the beginning of a career or you're just getting out there, you still want some range.
Yeah, or like Chris Maloney. Like he was on Law and Order for a long time.
Yep.
He left for a while to go do some different things.
Yep.
Have you watched
things for like a decade, and now he's back at Law and Order saying, all right, I would like a steady job with some money.
Yeah, but he got to go do some rangy things, and he got to do some, small things, independent things. And, he got to explore, which a lot of people do.
And he's crazy. Like, he can do comedy so well. Like,
he can. He can also do scary. You remember that one? What's that prison show?
Oz.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Him and Oz. But I think, so boxes aren't horrible, but when you're doing it, a lot of actors, I'm not saying all, because some people are like, paycheck, give it. I don't care what I do. But there are a lot of people who have studied this, who went to school for this, and your goal is range. When you're at school, when you get pigeonholed or typecast repeatedly, you're not a fan of it.
Yeah, look at Jim Varney. Always earnest.
Even though he was he did Shakespeare and stuff, but he was earnest.
But that's how, when you get put, you can't outgrow that. And even though you are classically trained and, there's a guy who's on Elmo, Mr. Noodles, and he is trained in a lot of things. And even I, as a grown woman, watched him in a movie with Anne Hathaway, and I was like, Mr. Noodles, because that's his main paycheck. So, I think Anthony Mackie will grow more, but it's hard to top. Don Cheadle was a rare being in the world. All right, sorry. All right. Back to this movie. Back to Avengers.
After I say, to be or not to be, Vern. That's why he failed Shakespeare. He added Vern to every line.
Yeah, that's weird.
All right, so any other backups like comic stories you have to tell us about Avengers before we jump in? Like about like the first when that started, or
the first Avengers, 1963, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. It pays homage to that because Loki was the reason they came together in the first place. Just like in this movie, Loki was the villain in that first storyline.
Who was?
Loki.
Loki, gotcha. I missed it.
And although the lineup was a little different, it was the original lineup of the Avengers was Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, Ant-Man, and the Wasp.
Oh.
It was just those guys.
And Loki was the villain at the beginning?
And Loki was the villain.
Okay.
I mean, when is he not?
And Hulk only stuck around for a few issues because he doesn't work well with others. And then I think it was Avengers number 4, they unfroze Captain America, and he became synonymous with the Avengers ever since. And
so was Captain America unfrozen originally in an Avengers comic, or did he have his own comic originally?
I think it was in the Avengers. I think the Avengers found him and unfroze him and sort of reintroduced him after he hadn't been really doing much since the end of World War II. I think he kind of they hadn't really been doing Captain America stories for a while.
They hadn't needed to.
Yeah. So they decided, superheroes are big again now that the Fantastic Four hit and we got enough to make the Avengers. Why not bring Captain America out of mothballs and reintroduce him and have it be a big party?
Yeah.
Mothballs?
Yeah, that's an old-timey kind of saying for, you put something away for a while, you put mothballs.
You store it with some mothballs. You got to preserve it.
Oh, yeah. Our grandparents, all their coats smelled like mothballs.
My grandparents,
I think that's
my grandparents did that too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone uses mothballs anymore.
Well, how often are moths a problem reading your clothes? I guess it must have been way worse then.
I mean, we know how to build things a little different now. We have different insulations. We have different woods. We've done a good job these days.
I never thought Nerd School would delve into Tiffany defending the use of mothballs or the
I'm just saying they needed to back then because things were built different. Like they didn't have a choice.
I know, but
how
are we talking about this? I've already forgotten how we got into
But they still come in handy. Apparently, my old neighbor used mothballs to keep snakes away from our porches. So
they're like snake balls.
Yeah.
I like to huff mothballs.
No, okay. Back to Avengers, Joe. God bless it.
We got Art's first art laugh. We got an art laugh. That's good. All right, so should we start the movie, or do you got more inane bullshit, Andy?
Start the movie.
You're not going to talk crap about Andy.
No, I'm just kidding.
Andy now.
It's all...
You need Andy, Joe. You need Andy.
You want Andy on that wall.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all interesting. I just like to give him a hard time.
We're going to say stop it. I know he's your brother, but we're here to defend Andy.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm Team Andy.
Don't worry about it.
I
appreciate you getting my back.
And I'm secretly Team Joe, but I would say I'm Team Andy.
That's on brand.
That's my MO, right?
That's on brand.
That's what I would do.
It's on brand.
I'm getting tired of Andy bullying Art. That's the problem. Like there's little subtle jabs throughout every episode where he just kind of bullies Art a little bit. So
it's
I don't think
funny
anybody's bullying Art.
I think for me, I think the dichotomy between me and Andy is like super nerd versus like that one nerd who wants to challenge the super nerd, but then like always gets beat, and every day he comes back to keep challenging that super nerd because one day he's going to destroy a super nerd.
Someday you might. You might just. And on that day, I will honor you. And I will pass the gavel of nerdery. Ooh,
nope.
Do I get to bring this gavel to the Nerdy Night Inn so I can judge?
Oh, you should totally bring it.
You should.
I'm totally bringing this gavel.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Sorry, Joe. Start the movie.
Okay. So, Avengers. Oh, shoot. I forgot to write the year and who directed it. Andy? You gonna...
2012.
2012, and it was directed by noted shitpile Joss Whedon. At the time, he was a nerd god. This was the apex of his nerd goddery. He was considered, by the public at large. Like he had done Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he had a lot of I guess feminist cred, and he said the right things for a while. But apparently, he's been a shitty asshole his entire career. And it's all coming out now ever since he came out and he took the Justice League over and was an abusive piece of shit. And Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg, decided not to take his shit anymore and went public with how shitty he was.
Really?
And the rest of Justice League cast kind of backed him up, said, yeah, he was pretty shitty. And then more people came out. Even freaking Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, said, look, I am proud to be associated with Buffy, but I would rather not have my name associated with Joss Whedon anymore.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, and there was a whole other thing that happened where like he got divorced and his wife sort of published this shitty letter he wrote, kind of trying to blame her for him cheating all the time and taking advantage of young fans and actresses who wanted to be all up
he
in
became
him.
The douche of douches.
Really?
Yeah, he is absolute shitstorm dumpster fire.
I've never heard any of this. Of course, I don't even think I know who he is, but.
Well, I just told you who he was. And...
I mean, I didn't before this. I didn't know who he was. I mean, like I saw his name that he directed this, but it doesn't mean anything to me. But so
if you see him, you probably want to punch his face.
Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
He's got a very punchable face. Head.
Yeah. Wow. So is he blackballed now from like movie?
Pretty much. He just had to leave. Like he was on an HBO series that's coming out called The Nevers, but he had to leave that right away because of the bad press of how shitty he is.
Yeah.
And
people just started to speak up and come forward, which is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like you think about when they started, even Buffy, they were young kids, new to Hollywood, and it's a great show. So everybody, you just shut up and put up with the crazy guy. You shut up and put up with it. And it takes one person to be like, no thanks, I'm not. And then other people are like, whew, glad you said it. Okay, yes, he is shitty. And so,
like so many people are like the ego cases that are like people think, oh, this kind of abusive shit is the price you pay for being a star. For working in Hollywood, you have to deal with asshole people like this. I try to say the French term, but I don't know how to pronounce it, like enfant terrible or something.
I'm not about to
terrible
pronounce
baby.
French.
I've read that a bunch of times, and I just realized, I'm going to say this, and I was like, wait, I don't know how to pronounce that. So I've had problems like that, like pulling an art where I don't know if this counts as pulling an art. This might be pulling a me. Where there's a couple words that I've read all the time, and I never knew how to pronounce them.
Yeah,
like the word debacle. I'd always read it as debacle, and then like it took me a long time to put the word I heard and the word I read together.
Oh, see, an art moment would be you'd see the word, and instead of saying debacle, you say debauchery, knowing you meant debacle. So that's an art moment.
Debauchery is a whole other word. But it can lead to debacle.
This guy, this Joss Whedon guy, what else did he direct? Any other of these movies since?
He directed Avengers: Age of Ultron. Okay. He directed the shitty theatrical version of the Justice League. He directed. He created the Firefly show that a lot of nerds love.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if anyone wants to see that rebooted anymore.
Probably not. And
the movie that spun out of that was Serenity. Firefly only lasted like one season, but nerds really latched onto it.
Really?
And it was a fun sci-fi western kind of thing.
It has some great actors in it too.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
Among many others. But what else did
and then you got your Buffy
and
name.
He actually wrote comics for a while.
Yeah.
He wrote
Joss Whedon
Astonishing X-Men books.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So
he had a big career. So he's not a random kid like picking up the helms of
for
the
Buffy,
Avengers.
Is he like the creator of Buffy or just a director or writer?
No, he's creator, isn't he?
Yeah, he created the original movie it was based on with Christy Swanson as well.
Yeah, he's a creator.
Perry.
Did you guys were you guys all into Buffy?
I watched it. I wouldn't say I was like overly fanned, but I watched it. I watched a lot of seasons. I think I even watched a bit of Angel.
What about
I didn't watch it because I don't care a shit about vampires.
No, you
didn't. It wasn't my cup of tea.
For a while there, like vampires were everything and everywhere. Like everything was vampires.
And I don't like vampires.
I don't either. I never
and
did.
then Twilight came out, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Like,
I did not watch Twilight. That was a no thank you.
Like I did not know. Like at the time, I went to like a preview. I was reviewing movies at the time, and I didn't know anything about it. And I walked into it. I was like, oh, why is like, oh, there's a bunch of young teenage fans here, all excited about it. All right, what's the appeal with this? And then it was really like slow and boring, and nothing happened. And then suddenly his big secret reveals, and he steps into the sunlight and he's shining. I'm like, oh, is he falling? Is he burning? Is he falling apart? And it's like, no, he's just sparkling.
Yeah,
he's just sparkling. His secret is that he sparkles. I laughed out loud in the theater, and I got some angry 12-year-old girls.
And just think he's the next Batman.
I couldn't believe. Wait, are you seriously telling me his dark brooding secret is that he shines and sparkles like a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow?
Because you got to figure out why he sparkles. Duh, Andy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's a vampire. But yeah, so Josh Whedon was nobody. He was somebody. He was a hell of a somebody when he came on board to throw it back to Marvel.
So that's what this whole thing surprised me, because I didn't know I didn't know any of this. So when you at the beginning of you launching into him being a big asshole, I was confused because I thought you loved Avengers, but
I do love Avengers. I think the movie is
I get
great.
It now. Yeah, right. But you loved it, so that makes it even more maddening that it's like, fuck, man, you made a great fucking movie. We want that shit out of you, not being a fucking asshole.
He did a lot of great stuff, but you know.
Yep.
Yeah, like I think I don't want to give him credit anymore, but like he being a nerd that he was, and being like a comic nerd, he actually wrote for the Marvel Universe. Yeah. That so he kind of got the characters on a level that others might not have. So which is why I don't know. I think he didn't write the script entirely by himself. I don't think.
No, I don't think he did.
But there was some really perfect beats in this movie. Like, and I unearthed a review I wrote at the time.
Yeah.
About this, about the movie. Like at the time, we came out of it thinking, all right, this is 2012. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's happened since then that might alter perceptions, but this felt like the best comic book movie ever made at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the grand experiment of Marvel Phase 1 had paid off.
Yeah.
All those characters jumping into this movie, all these guys who've become stars are playing their characters, bouncing off each other with like taking each other seriously enough to have these like that big argument scene when like the scepter is sort of influencing them to get antagonistic with each other.
Yes.
That's like the kind of character work, the bickering kind of shit that happens all the time. And in comics and stuff, and like one of the beats it needed to have. Sorry if I'm talking too much here, but
no,
one of the I wrote an article called 5 comic book beats that this movie got right, and the first one was, or not the first one, but one of them was when the superheroes first meet each other, they always fight over some misunderstanding, because there's some base level that makes like. The nerds kind of want to see, who would win in a fight between these two?
Yeah.
Why would they fight? They're both good guys. Let's have them meet each other. They don't know each other. They think one or the other is the bad guy or doing something wrong, and they have to fight, and you have to see them kick each other's asses a little bit. And they do that when Thor shows up and just takes Loki out of the plane and leaves. And they're like, all right, we have to go kick his ass. And that whole thing happens. That's a big comic book like a classic old standby for comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Crossovers. And another one is, even after they're done fighting, they still bicker all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They still have, like, they chirp at each other, and they like to, they don't always come out and go, we are the heroes, we know what to do, let's do it together.
Right.
I mean, they do, like, they train and do teamwork and stuff like that, but they're always.
I love the little bicker. It's like siblings.
Yeah. And
like Joe and Andy.
Well, and it makes them more real, and it makes it's like they're real people and not just like you said, this big hero, and you relate to them more, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the third thing, or one of the other things, was that the Shield. This is the first time we see the Shield Helicarrier, the aircraft carrier that sprouts rotors and takes off into the sky.
So cool.
And that's I mean, you take them for granted. These, like, the more you read comics, you're like, oh, there's the Shield Helicarrier, but it's a fucking aircraft carrier that flies. That is amazing. That is an amazing thing, and they treated it with the level of amazement it needed to have. Like Captain America forks over $10 because he was surprised by the fact that they have an aircraft carrier that flies.
Yeah.
And not only is that cool, that also, like, you see that happen, and then the first thing you think of is that thing's going to crash hard.
Yes.
So then later, it's in danger of crashing. That's like, the helicarrier is super cool and awesome, and also is always going to crash. Or about to crash, or in danger of crashing, or the bad guys will try to make it crash. Which, that happened there too. And then number 4 I had was that when the chips are down, Captain America always knows what to do.
Yep, he's the captain.
One of the things they were going to have in this movie, I know I'm jumping around a bit.
No, that's good. It's your beats. Yeah. It's your 5 beats.
Yeah. They had to have a scene where Captain America takes command and everyone realizes he knows what he's talking about, and let's fall in line behind him. Like, most of this movie, he's a fish out of water trying to figure out his place and his way. And, he's a little confused about what's going on. He doesn't know who to trust. But at the end, when the shit happens, the aliens start pouring out of the sky. It's like, even Iron Man goes, call it, Captain.
Yep.
And then he starts going, all right, this is what we do. And it's a good plan. Yeah. It's like, all right, Iron Man, you fly around, keep everybody within these few blocks radius.
Yeah.
Thor, bottleneck the portal, do all that shit. We'll fight them and distract them and keep them focused on us because that's what he wants in the first place. And Hulk smash.
I love that saying. Yeah. Hulk smash.
Yeah, and the last point I had was about the Hulk. Is this was like the third time he's been in the cinematic, or the first time, the third movie he was in. The first one, I liked it, but it didn't hit as well as it should have because it had some issues. The second one with Ed Norton, same thing. But this is where he shined because he didn't have to carry the movie.
Yeah.
So he could be as big an asshole as you needed him to be. And so basically what it realized in this movie is that the Hulk is the living embodiment of fuck you.
Yep.
That's what he is. Like, there's the rage thing, there's the lose control rage thing, but there's also spite. There's a lot of fucking spite that Hulk has. Like, there's a lot in the comics where Hulk will know, he knows what the right thing is to do, but he won't do it if someone tells him to do it, because fuck you. You don't tell me what to do. I'm the fucking Hulk, rawr, smash, fuck off.
See, that's what Hulk and I have in common right there.
Yeah. Hulk, the strongest
I'll do it on my own, but as soon as you go, hey, Tiffany, do you want to? No.
Yeah, exactly. It's fuck you. There's so much in here. Like, the first time we see him, it's, Loki sets off his big plot and blows shit up in the helicarrier and sets the Hulk mad, and the first thing he does is terrorize the shit out of Natasha Romanoff. Because and why is that the case? Because she's kind of the figurehead responsible for bringing him out of Calcutta.
Yeah,
she brought him into this.
Yeah.
And it's like a mini horror movie in the midst of all the, like, Iron Man's preparing the thing on the outside. Loki's pulling his shit, and the Hawkeye's trying to get all the shit, and then cut to, like, somewhere in the bowels of the thing, Natasha is scared, understandably, because here's a giant motherfucker that all of the karate kicks in the world are not gonna like. She can kick the shit out. She had no problem dealing with those Russian jerks at the beginning.
Yeah, she can kick anybody's ass except for this giant thing.
Yeah, so this,
nobody can.
Like, nothing phases her, but this phases her. This is, as she says, monsters and magic and nothing we were ever trained for.
Yeah.
And so she's running around, and the Hulk is trying to hit her, and does hit her at one point, smacks her against the wall, and it's about to backhand her again before Thor saves him. or saves her, and then she's shell shocked about that.
Yeah.
Like she's just like sitting there shaking until finally someone tells her, "Oh, here's Hawkeye, go fight him."
Yeah.
And then that kind of shakes her out of it.
Well,
but
she's not used to losing. She's probably never lost a fight in her life.
No, and let's be real. The Hulk is what you know of the Hulk, and you know, you can't.
Yeah,
that's
Hulk
when you
by
see her
reputation.
when they're down there. She's like, are you, Bruce, are you right? Hey,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She's
Hey.
trying to calm him down.
Yeah, she's like,
And that's
hey.
and one of the things I like that isn't really talked about so much is that by the next time the Avengers movie rolls around, she's got a whole method of control. Mm-hmm. She's like the way she like, hey, big guy, the sun's getting real low. They've figured out a way for Black Widow to be able to bring the Hulk down back to Banner by the time the Age of Ultron happens. So, and that's basically, what does she need to do? She needs to get to control of that situation. She needs to control that guy.
Right.
And so I kind of like how that played out. Although they didn't really lean on it too hard. That's kind of like a subtext thing. But the Hulk is just like, then Thor happens and they fight. And then the dude in the jet comes around and shoots at him and draws his attention. And this is how much the Hulk is dedicated to fuck you. Is you're attacking me right now. I'm done fighting this guy.
Yeah.
Because I don't care. I'm going to destroy you.
Yep.
I'm going to jump out onto this jet. It doesn't matter that I don't have an exit strategy. Fuck you for shooting at me.
Yep.
And then the guy tries to eject, and he catches the fucking ejection seat, and just to spike it, just to throw him harder at the ground, because fuck you. That's what the Hulk is. And then, like, the plane blows up and he falls and crashes into an abandoned pigeon factory or whatever that is. And so that's how dedicated he is to fuck you. And then, of course, the last big scene where he confronts Loki is absolutely all fuck you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Interrupts his villain monologue. That was such an unbelievable moment. Like, you could go back and find like audience responses to that moment.
When I saw that shit in the movie theaters, I like lost it. I like, cause
Me too.
It's like you almost didn't really expect it, but then it was very, I want to say super comical, but it just felt like watching cartoons, like he was ragdolling. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Just boom, boom. I laughed my ass off because it was so perfectly Hulk. It was like, I don't give a shit what you're saying.
Right, I don't have time for this.
I'm mad at you.
I don't have time.
Fuck off, you little jerk. And then that's it. And Loki's buried in the floor and he's done for the rest of the movie. Yeah. And that's it's fantastic. It's so much fuck you. And also, he's fighting alongside Thor at one point. They crash the thing, and then he just sucker punches him because fuck you.
That was hilarious, too.
Because I'm not done with you. Yeah, I wasn't done.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yep.
Hulk is able to shine in like a team book setting or a team setting in the movies somehow because he gets to...
It's funny. Like, right before we started recording this, I was, looking at like the whole She-Hulk thing because I was like, Hulk needs another movie. Like, we need another Hulk movie.
We need Ruffalo in Hulk as Hulk.
Yeah. So like, he's going to be in the She-Hulk series, which is going to be what they're calling a legal comedy. And I'm like, I don't know. But then I'm like, wait a minute, Hulk does have its moments where he does funny shit. So I'm like, okay, I'm hoping he's just not in there for like a couple of scenes or a couple episodes. Then I'm like, also, we need a new Hulk movie.
I'm waiting for the day. I don't know. Ruffalo talked about being sick, so I don't know if he has the energy to pull another movie. I think it was last year or the year before. It was an illness. But he deserves, as much as Ruffalo has done with Hulk coming into the Avengers franchise.
Yeah,
I feel like, and I know it's a matter of rights to Hulk.
They should do like
it, but God bless it. Ruffalo deserves a full Hulk movie as Hulk.
Well, and
they should do a prequel, and it should be directed by Taika Waititi. So to be like right before Thor Ragnarok, and we get World War Hulk. Like, that would blow my mind. Well, if we actually got an actual movie. That was an animated movie, but we actually got like Mark Ruffalo led World War Hawk.
The problem is, I agree with you, and I love Ruffalo, and I actually might, he might be my favorite character in this. Like I know Natasha is my favorite, but after her, he's so great. Like I love his character. I love.
No, he's a hell of an actor, and I love when he's playing. When he's Bruce and all the things.
Yes.
That he's like, you can read all the emotions. Like there's
just him playing with his glasses. It's like
all of his tics, his little tics, his emotions,
and the chemistry.
He's so good.
The chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. is so great. Like those moments are great. But I keep thinking. With all this, I keep panicking about all this because they better get everything they want to do with these guys in because the clock is ticking. They're not getting any younger. Ruffalo can't be very young. Robert Downey Jr. just turned 56. He's going to be
done.
Well, he's done. No spoilers.
There's no more Iron Man stuff.
Spoiler.
Well, there's a show called Iron Heart coming, which is about a whole new younger character who sort of kind of builds her own suit of armor.
Well, I keep seeing these headlines of Robert Downey Jr. hinting at showing up in some.
Ignore those headlines.
They're all wrong.
If they're hinting or anything like that, ignore that shit.
All right.
That's just
I just
people.
I saw on Twitter or Instagram or somewhere he turned 56, and I had this sudden panic. I was like, "Shit!"
Joe, you've got to watch the last Avengers.
Well, they're all getting old. They're getting old. They're all.
You don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, he disappeared. But they're old. Ruffalo's getting old.
Which is why they're introducing a new generation. That's why they're going Young Avengers.
In the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, Andy was talking about the Young Avengers, and we are starting to see more and more young characters coming up for a reason. Yeah. Also, it's a generational shift. Not just because the actors are old, we are aging.
Yeah.
We're aging. Whoa. I'm sorry to break it to you, Art Star, but we're aging too.
The fans are getting old.
And so who we want to see on screen and who the younger generation want to see on screen is very different. So there has to be a natural shift, Joe. Just whatever alien medicine Tom Cruise kept, everybody can't take, okay? Everybody can't play the same role for decades, and that's okay. And younger kids are going to want to see.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Younger.
Hey, I wonder.
No apologies to Tom.
Well, that.
But it's too. If the actors are aging, we're aging. So the audience for comics, the audience is getting younger.
Yeah,
and that's who they're going to have to appease.
Well, and that brings up a question. Then I wonder. I'm wondering if. Is the comic book thing going to go away? Like, are comic books as popular with younger people as they were in our generation? Like, I feel like the kids born in the 70s and grew up in the 70s and 80s, comic books were huge.
I think they're reading them. They're not. My son just spent $60 on a goddamn Legends of Korra specialized set. Okay, it's not.
That was my question. Are your kids and their friends is their generation consuming it?
It looks different than they're not hanging out at the comic book store. Everything's online. They order online and bring it to them, but they're still reading the stories. My son did a lot of reading on his phone.
I'm not sure how healthy the industry is.
Right.
Because they're like in transition. There's the old models don't work anymore, I don't think, because I think there's still the dedicated nerd fan base of people who show up every week at the comic shop and buy their things. But
is that getting old? Is that audience getting older? I wonder. And so this whole feeling of creating these movies based on your favorite childhood heroes will peter out because we will all be old people, and
it won't peter. It'll shift because it'll be the heroes that these kids have.
Yeah,
so
it
will always.
And then too, also a lot of stuff that's coming out, unless someone says you like, oh, this is based on a graphic novel, this is based on a book. Most people won't know that it's an actual comic book movie. They're just like, oh, this is an awesome action movie or awesome drama or something.
Yeah, I guess
so. To them,
that's a good point. Yeah.
So the physical store may not be, and I don't think you're gonna have a lot of comic book houses. The physical stores aren't going to stand. But that's everywhere, right? How many physical stores are standing, and how much online shopping are we consuming as a nation, as a people?
Speaking of that, Yeah. Sorry. Go
It's
ahead.
2021. And we already were online shopping, and then we went to a pandemic, and we really we are now.
Yep.
If you weren't trustworthy of online shopping before, you'd have figured it out now. Even grandma's Instacarting her groceries. So I think you have to remember there's content being created for this generation. It's just not what we know. Some of it's what we know. Some of it is different storylines, not based on the main, but generations after. It's just going to look different, but our parents watch different things than we watch.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking.
There was no Avenger movie for our parents.
Well, and that's
they had Lou Ferrigno, for goodness sake. Come on, y'all.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's true. And they had the shitty Captain America movie from the 40s or the 50s.
Yeah, which is why this felt like I ended my review of this movie like, enjoy this, nerds. We have reached the promised land.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, holy shit, these movies work, and like there's been so much desire for that through all those shitty old movies. All the the shitty Roger Corman Fantastic Four, the Captain America in his bike helmet from the 70s, and furry coat Thor from Lou Ferrigno movies.
I guess as long as people are writing stuff and people are still making new things, we'll always have kick-ass stuff to watch. Yeah,
and I think Marvel makes enough and Disney makes enough that I think they can support basically the movie storyboard industry, which is what comic books often are.
Well, and I wonder if you can just keep doing these. I mean, like we've talked about, how many times have they retold the origin stories of all these comics in the comics? They can do that, with a new generation of Captain America, another Iron
the multiverse.
Man,
there's the multiverse.
Yep.
That's going to be their way to reboot the old characters if they want to. Because they can just say, all right, we saw that world. Here's a different world where everyone kind of rose up a little differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we got Miles Morales. It was a shift.
Yeah, and they're still making younger characters. They made the Young Avengers. They made like the Runaways. There's a lot of new blood sort of characters being created all the time.
I feel like
don't you worry, Joe.
Art Star mentions another show that I didn't know existed every week. That I'm like, oh, that existed. And Art Star's got a good point about that whole thing. Like, you'd be surprised at things that are from a graphic novel that you don't know.
Yep.
Like, I didn't know The Boys was a comic book until you guys told me. Like, half the things you watch on TV that's action is based on something. So, all right, great. That's a great way to start. And we could actually probably just end this episode here if we wanted to, but
nerds roll.
Excelsior! Oh, my glasses are broken.
My pocket is protected.
Okay.
Rap about the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end racism. Proud over pessimism, glad to see Obama, but don't expect me not to speak out when I still see problems.
The Nerd Skool Podcast.
Nerd Skool is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Now offering video visits so you can take control of your orthopedic care from the comfort of your home. Schedule online at orthocarolina.com. Ortho Carolina, you improved.